Hola, everybody. It's been a long time. Yeah, I just got in the mood to do a little video tonight, and um, uh, I don't know why. So, in deal with my um, new headphones, because I really like them, and hopefully they'll work because they have not. I've done a few videos, and they just crapped out on me. So hopefully these will work, and hopefully I won't hit it too much because I'm not used to having something right here, so I tend to bang it a lot, and hopefully I won't be doing that. Uh, but anyways, welcome back. Welcome back to me. It's been a while, and no apologies. It's been kind of life things coming up, and lots of not changes so much, but just things that I needed to. Sorry, there I did it. Things I needed to take care of, and life wise and health wise and everything else. And everything is fine. Please do not worry about me one iota. I learned a valuable lesson that when people worry about you, then suddenly I start to worry. I worry about them worrying about me. And that's just plain freaking not healthy. So don't do that. And I have to, again, give a shout out to my buddy Ramona, who has been probably the most adamant about checking in with me. And God, love her. Thank you. I do appreciate it. But as I said to her in an email a while back, please stop worrying about me because now I'm worrying about you worrying about me, and it's just blah. So, God love her, and I think she finally figured it out. She's been there, I think, number one, and understood completely, and I so appreciate that. So anyway, shout out to you. I owe you a few emails, I think, as well. But anyways, I think about you all the time, which probably out of guilt because I haven't written you back. But anyways, just FYI, always on my mind. Thank you, dear. So anyways, cheers. I'm having a little Viognier tonight, a little white wine. Thank you very much. Um, which is usually a little liquid courage for me to come on here, and it was so funny because I was telling. I don't know if it was Gerald. All of this kind of came down on the heels of me about to meet up with, or about to do a live with Gerald, and then my world kind of crashed for reasons that I just don't feel like going into. Nothing horrible, but just that kind of stuff that happens during a regular day, and I had told Gerald, I said, I just in the end, I'm not sure. Not not that that crash was related to anything that we were planning, but I realized very quickly that I've been on stage most of my life. That was my job. That's what I did. Not I wasn't in the theater. I was in hospitality, which is all about making sure everybody's world is fine and your world doesn't frickin' matter because it's not about your world. It's about their world. And so for 40 some years, I mean, basically I started when I was 16. What, let's not even add that up. Um, so anyways, I was always on stage, and when I started doing the YouTube thing, I too became a little bit on stage, and then it advanced that level where suddenly I was going to be on somebody else's stage, a bigger stage, which was really exciting to me, but it was also very, very. I don't even want to say the word intimidating. It was. I think what it did was it knocked it into me that I spent an awful lot of time doing that, and I didn't want to do it anymore. I just didn't want to do it anymore, and it really made me come back. Well, that is not why I didn't meet up with Gerald. That's not why I didn't do the live with him. I had a serious other thing going on. Not serious, just a thing going on that I needed to deal with. But what all of that did, that perfect storm of everything happening, made me really step back and try to understand what the heck are you doing? Are you here to talk about tarot? Are you here to tell stories? And I think everybody on YouTube goes through this crap, just kind of, why am I here? What's that Barbie song? What was I made for? Whatever. I don't know. I've never seen the movie. I should see it. I hear it's good. Anyways, so it just really made me step back and think about what the hell I'm doing and what and why. and what do I have to offer, um, and all that kind of stuff. And you just have to see a neighbor going by with the doggy. Hi, Sean. Anyways, yeah. So you just kind of you yes, and I had to take a huge pause because I didn't have the answer, and I can be honestly say I don't have the answer now. But what I do know is, for instance, just tonight, I was like, okay, I'm kind of, I'm kind of in the mood to do a video, and so I start thinking. So I look at my hair, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like freaking trashed out. Um, my hair doesn't usually look this way. I don't know what the lighting is right now, but wow, trust me, I didn't go just instant gray in the last 2 months. It's just I hope. I don't know. Anyways, so but I was first thing I did was look at the hair. I was like, I can't do this. I got the hair. I should take a shower. I should blah, blah, blah. And then I looked at my face and I'm like, God, you look worn out. You look tired, and you have no eyebrows. Never have. I usually try to put some on so I look like a human being. And then just all that stuff that you do before you climb onto a video. And I was like, and I just kind of stopped myself in the middle. And I said, here's part of the problem, Nancy, is you spent your entire life, working career, making up your world to show off to others. Not show off in an egotistical way, but to be able to be presentable and acceptable by others in how I spoke and how I acted and how I dressed and how I everything I did. And I've just gotten to the point where I'm over that. I just know this is I've got to be me. It's not like I've got to be me. I've got to be. It's not that. It's just I'm tired of the facade that so many of us put on. And it was interesting because I was just listening to somebody talking about that the other day, that you kind of that he or she, I can't even remember who it was breaking it into age groups, but it's true. You get to you do spend a lot of time, kind of learning about the world, figuring out the world, fitting in with your peers, suddenly maybe choosing not to fit in with your peers. Then you try to get kind of smart about the world around you. You adjust everything doing that. Then you get into whatever career it is and you adjust your world for that. You're constantly adjusting your world for everybody else. And somewhere along the way, you kind of went, wait a minute. It's time for the world to frickin' adjust to me. And the only way that's going to happen is if I start presenting, for anybody starts presenting their actual self. So here we begin again, kind of. I love tarot, and that's why I'm here today. I'm going to talk a little bit about my current favorite decks and why. Well, I'll try. Um, but I also just wanted to come back and say hi, and I want to thank everybody for checking in on me many of you did. I appreciated it very much, and I feel bad about not checking in sooner via video, but I hope you understand that it just wasn't. It just I really needed time to kind of straighten that part out, and I want to step back in time for a moment and say that yes, I retired. It seems like yesterday, but I retired in 2015 to care for my dad, who subsequently died in 2018, and so that was what 6 years ago. And you'd think that I would have adjusted by now. Um, um, I'm adjusting is an interesting word. It doesn't happen overnight, especially when you leave a 40-year career or pardon me while I snort a little bit, or a 3 or 4 year, 5 year caregiving situation with a parent or parents. You don't come out of that stretch as quickly as you think you will. There's a lot of people in the world planning, oh, you must be glad now you're moving on. And I'm like, what? My head is still there. My head was still in hospitality, still is in many ways. I don't dream about it as much. I've gone into that in other videos, but um, yeah, it's still there. It's still ingrained, and in part of what I was wrestling with was that whole thing about the being on stage. Welcome to the carnival. Step inside, step inside. What's that song? I don't know who does it, but it's a great song. And every time I hear it, it reminds me of what I did for 40 years. It's like da da da, bum I don't know. Welcome to the Carnival. I can't remember the name of it. Anyways, you all out there will know it. Let me know in the comments what it is because I'll try to look it up after this. Anyway, so here we are. So back again. I don't know if I'm going to be consistent. It really depends on, you know, if I got anything important to say. Well, important in my mind, not yours necessarily, but um, yeah. So a few updates. My tree died. Welcome to the world. Cheers. Um, it really looked like it was coming. Well, you all know the story, and if you don't go back. It's there. Um, I had a crooked tree. I'll tell it brief. Crooked tree forever. Young but crooked, and it was driving me crazy. And to straighten it out would have been a lot of money and just like longer than my lifetime. So, um, and when the arborist came out, he said, "This tree is crooked for a reason. It wasn't planted crooked. It's ill." So I ended up buying a new one, and then we had a whole fiasco getting that thing in, which involved it took out all like when they took out the stump, they also took out all my irrigation. Oh my god! So they take the plant, they just planted it, they took out all the irrigation, it blew up the next morning. So they came out that afternoon, pulled the tree out again, laid it on the sidewalk, redid the irrigation, which took like 6, 7, 8 hours, however long, and then came back, plopped the thing in the ground, and it literally was just it was not planted well. And I waited all winter hoping that it would it would it but quite wondering whether it would bud out and whether I would have leaves in the springtime. And sure enough, as spring started, leaves started to pop out, and then things started to ooze out, bark started to crust out. It was just there was clearly something very wrong. And of course, I reached out to the tree people, and they're like, "Well, that nobody wants to take responsibility for it being the tree issue." And I was, of course, very honest with them. And I said, "I think it may have been a planting issue, which is a whole separate deal." And suddenly, everybody's doing this, and I'm like, "You know what? It's not worth it." Yes, it was an expensive tree. Yes, it was expensive to put it in the ground, and it didn't work. So there we go, and that's just something I have to live with. So I went to the tree store a couple of weeks ago and got a new one. And I was gonna go. At first, I bought this one that was like just it was really pretty, but it wasn't a sugar. I really wanted a green mountain sugar maple, and that's what I'd had before it died. And so I settled for this other tree that looked super healthy, which was fine. But as I got home, I went, I don't want that tree. I want this tree. I want this green. Maybe naming it wrong, but whatever. Green something sugar maple. That's what I want. So I went back and I said, I really want this. And so they said, fine, a little bit more expensive, no problem. And they are coming out on July 8th to plant it. And I can't take out the old dead one and bring in the new one. So I'm very excited about that. So that's probably the biggest life update I have about that. My house is a bit of a disaster. You can see that I no longer have a rug in here. I just got tired of my rug and I bought a new one and it looked like shit. So I took it out altogether and now I'm just kind of getting used to the wood. So that may be the way I'll leave it. Got a lot of family coming to visit over the summer, which is very exciting. We're going to baseball games. I got some coming, pardon me, end of the month, and then in July I've got my sister-in-law coming up, brother and his wife for just a 4 or 5 day visit, and we're going to go see the Avett Brothers at the outdoor amphitheater, which I'm really looking forward to. And what else? And then after that, we've got the Washington State International Kite Festival in August, which a bunch of us are all gathering down there for that. So it's going to be a fun summer. I'm looking forward to it. This winter was long. I call it the winter that never came and then it never frickin' left. It was here. I mean, literally, we had frost warnings a week ago. We had snow on April 30th. Everything's late. My little yellow, you can't see them, but little yellow, I don't know what they're called. They're absolutely beautiful. But they're normally the first bloomers of the year. They didn't come out until like a week and a half ago. And they're usually out early, mid April. Crazy. Anyway, so it's been a weird climate changey kind of thing. Anyway, so I just got done watching Becca and Johnny. Jen Lynn was out today on their Sunday night It's kind of a political tarot read. One of them hosts, asks a series of political questions, and if anybody has offshoot questions, they throw those in. And they don't necessarily. I think they take questions beforehand. They don't take them in the chat. It's always a very lively chat, I might add, but they don't take in the middle of their program. They don't take those kind of chats. But anyways, it's always really fun, just hysterical, very funny, and funny and poignant and interesting. And so one of the things I've done for several months or for a while now is to I throw cards along with them. I don't spend my entire day, but I spend a part of the day as I'm playing with cards, asking the deck if they want to partake in the question and answer thing tonight. And some I get a very loud yes, and others I get a very loud no, and it's really fun. And so then when it's about 10 minutes before the show, so it was really warm out today, so I went out on the patio and I got all the decks that had said yes. Say yes to the deck, got them all out ready to go, poured a little wine, a little water, got everything all set to go, and watched the show, and it was so much fun. But what was interesting to me was uh, I realized very quickly that I've gotten a lot of new decks in the last half of the year. Not that I needed them, and I am incredibly mindful of the fact that I'm slowing down on these things. I'm still get intrigued by Kickstarters, and every once in a while a deck will arrive in the mail, and I'm like, what, who ordered this? And why? And I have no answer except that yes, I was the one who ordered it, and I have no idea why. I don't even the art style might be a little off. Who knows? Off for me. I don't know. Anyway, so tonight while I'm sitting there doing this thing with Becca and Johnny, I realized I really had a core group of decks with me that I really enjoy working with right now, and I thought I would share them. So they're in my little bag, my little tote bag that I'm gonna lay them all out. Probably should have done this before I put the video on. And also I'm going to, and I'll put blah 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 blah. Can tell I'm going off on a million things. I didn't use that one. Did I? Yes, yes. This one. This one. No, I did not use that one. Use this one. Did I use this one? I did not. Go back in your bag. Okay, I think I've got out what I used, and I used my little bell to cleanse throughout the program because I was asking a lot of these decks today. It was really fun. Um, so before I get going, I want to point out, and I'll put a link below. But I have found I always say this. I found the best deck bags, but these truly are close. First of all, a lot of the Beck creators I really like um, have. First of all, a lot of their fabrics are super witchy, which is not what I'm attracted to. Because a lot of my decks are not super witchy in their orientation. I mean, they all kind of stem from that, but they're not in that. Uh, a lot of animal decks are more animal nature oriented. They're not into the witchy witch hats and cauldrons and any of that stuff. And a lot of bags that I look at, piggy bags not so much, but pardon me. A lot of them are kind of along those lines. Where are we at here? I'm talking your ears off. Okay. Um, and so I've gone through a lot of Prairie Moon designs I absolutely love off of Etsy. Um, Again, Peggy bags I love. This one is Chim Hashu. See, can you see it? Um, their bags are great. And I have a couple of Peggy bags. Which one's this? Chim Hashu. But this one, oh, and then this guy. I'll put his link down below too. He makes these leather. Oh, I love them. For leather bags, they're incredibly reasonable. Um, leather tarot, and they do fit the larger. Like in this one, I've got the Cosmic Wisdom tarot, which I will talk about later. But it's become one of my favorite decks, Methany. But anyways, this one, and I don't know the name of it off the head, but they are just slightly padded. They always have a fun interior fabric, and they fit most decks really perfectly. They come with like a weird handle, like a lot of I don't know how to describe it. Do I have one? I probably have one nearby that I could show you. But anyways, a big tassel on it. I hate those, so I cut those off, and I usually put on my own zipper pulls. But this one is so I love. So let's go forward here. So during these political rants, I think it's is it Jet? Who is it that? It's Lena Rodriguez who, whenever she gets talking or reading on Trump, she tends to use the Deviant Moon Tarot, and I kind of picked up on that from her. So the Deviant Moon Tarot, anyone who knows me well knows that we've had a tumultuous relationship for a very long time. But I finally decided I wanted to get to know him. He is a he to me. I don't mean to personify my decks, but I do, just like I do my cars. And him and I just never got along. And then uh, I just decided I wanted to get along. Oh, it was a Hermit's Cave and Chris at Elemental Cartomancy who were doing a throwback Thursday on the Deviant Moon, and it intrigued me enough to revisit the deck. And and the pull I got when I said, "Are we ever going to get along?" was freaking amazing. And I did a video on it a while back, but it was basically, yeah, it was so clear, it was crazy. It was I can't remember what the cards were, but it was basically, um, you've hated me forever. You need to put that down, and oh, the places we will go. I mean, it was that clear. And from that point on, I just learned to not be scared of the artwork in a way. It was a very friendly read in a deck that isn't that I think if you're just not willing to give it its due, it can always be kind of frightening. And I don't know whether it's the artwork that reminds me of weird children's books that I read as a kid. I don't know. But anyways, moving forward, Christopher Smith. Well, yeah, I mean, and you're all familiar with this deck, so I won't spend much time showing the cards. But yeah, it can be a kind of a come off as kind of a frightening, weird little deck. Little, no, it's big. It's a little bigger than normal cards. But I have come to really learn to enjoy it. But I pull it out when I want it, as Lena does when she wants to read on Trump, because I think in a way this deck understands the energy of non-good people. It doesn't absorb it. It doesn't reflect it, but it knows how to translate it in a way that you can understand, and that's what makes this deck to me so interesting with reads involving Trump. So that came out today, and it was accurate as frick. It just amazing to me. So next, this one I got on. Here's the bag. I love this bag. This one I got, I believe, it may have been Game Crafters. It may have been Make Playing Cards. If I figure it out, I'll put a link down below. It has the classic lilies. I think I've shown this one before too. But I love this one because, first of all, it's linen. It starts with it. And then it just has really fun. I don't know if it has a name or not. I don't think it does. I think it's just RWS 2.0 or something like that. But the person has gone in and just done some interesting color rendering on it. And I adore it. It's more to me. It's more interesting than just a regular RWS in that that I find the coloring just interesting. I'm trying to find some like this one's one of my faves. It's Cups, Hermit, Judgment. Like I said, I'll put a link down below. I know there's a. I'll figure it out. I figure which deck this is. Anyways, I adore this deck, and so this one really came through for me tonight as well. Um, Next. Which one's in here? This one is very similar to the last one I showed. And this was, I think this is Game Crafters. And again, if I know, I'll put a link down below. But I love the back of this one. It's kind of an antique lilies. But it's very similar to the one I just showed you, except no titles. But it still has that kind of interesting. And I don't believe these are from the same printing company. So I don't believe they're the same author. Or artist rendering of. But I really like this deck. Again, linen. Um, and the subtle colors just make it to me more interesting than the typical RWS. Um, it's really sweet. I love it. So this one also could, although I don't think I used this one that, this was being, in fact, this one I just kind of always bring out. I'm not sure I even asked it of it when I did join tonight, which is maybe why it didn't give me much. Um, so let's see, which one is this? Which one is this? So this is a Peggy bag. Oh yes, Peggy bag. Um, this is a new deck to me. It's called the Emma Poetica Tarot. Emma Poetica Tarot by Julie du Tersac. Tersac? I really like this deck. And I can't tell you who turned me onto it. The backs are just so beautiful. Little foiling. Can I speak? Yes, I can. And then the artwork to me is just so interesting. It's in English and in French. And I think I got it from Cecile. Oh, what's her name? Cecile Melvier. I'll put a link down below again. I'm not sure it's her deck per se, but she's the one who did Tarot Renard. Um, she did Le Pen too. I don't know. But anyways, this is really fun. This is on a um, kind of standard cardstock, nothing fancy, a little stiff. Um, but the artwork is so stunning, and I really like it. So I've had some fun throwing this one, and I've been using this deck a lot for reading on Canon, Eileen Cannon, or Aileen or whatever she is. For some reason, this deck likes to read on her, and this deck doesn't hate her, but this deck seems to understand her, and so it's been an um, interesting using that deck. Again, very new to me, but every time for whatever reason I've read on her, that deck seems to want to come out and play. Next one I just love this. I got this on Kickstarter. Y Spell Wild Reflections. I don't care for all of the decks. I have a fair amount of them. This one I love. It's very. I keep thinking I've talked about this before, but I haven't. I probably have in one of the videos that I never posted. But this deck is very reminiscent, very reminiscent of the Lightseers Tarot, but in a different way. And while I like the Lightseers Tarot, for whatever reason, we just now. It's not that we haven't gotten along. I just don't seem to resonate. I get kind of a flat feel. I've gotten some interesting readings from it, but just a flat feel. This one, on the other hand, totally different, and I don't know why. Um, the backs are just I love. Sorry about the reflection. Gold, kind of shiny gold foiling, decent gold foiling, not the kind that eats your hands up, and then just really cool cards. And you'll see what I mean by very light series reminiscent. Um, but for some reason, I just can relate to this deck. I think there's not as much. I mean, look at that. Oh my God, Eight of Cups. God, I love the Justice card. I pulled this earlier. There's yeah, it's just it's really. So I'm sure you can see why I talk about the similarities between it and the Light Seers. I think this one isn't quite as active as the Light Seers can be. I mean, the Light Seers always feels like there's something major going on in every card. Okay, and I just showed you like three that where there's something major going on. But I don't know, and maybe it's the sparkles. These little kind of sparkles show up on most of the cards. There's a good example. Kind of like almost like fairy lights. I love that Ace of Wands. All of these are just so special. I just think Weisspell really did an amazing job on this deck, and for some reason, it is completely. My light series was always out, but I never reached for it. I reached for this every single day. I love it, and I want to find the one card that is just. Is it this? Yes, Three of Wands. One of my Three of Wands, and then a Page of Cups. I think. I'll have to look, but oh my God, I just love that. Let me see if I can find the other one that just I'm sorry, it's the Knight of Wands. I love that. In his boat in a lake with his golden. Oh my God. This deck is just so worth it, and I hope at some point. I've been checking to see if it's going to be available mass market or on their website. I haven't seen anything come through, so I don't know. I don't know, but I hope it will. I actually did. I order a set? I think I did. Did I? I can't remember. I don't know if I ordered a second copy of this or not. I don't know if I could. The next one that has just been part of my world recently, and I'm very surprised by this is Ethany's new deck, the Wisdom Tarot. The Cosmic Wisdom Tarot. Get it on Etsy at her store. I will tell you, I've not been a huge fan of her. I took her class. I'm really glad I did. I learned a lot, but I think she was sick throughout most of it, so it was a hard class to get through via Zoom. Um, but I don't regret taking it. I mean, I learned a lot. I was just beginning, and it was really good to have somebody zero in on stuff for me. And in that regard, I wanted to support her through purchase of her decks, but none of her decks resonated with me all that well. Ooh, speaking of which, I have something to talk about. I should write that down because I don't want to forget. Um, the biggest sea change in tarot for me, and in fact, I may do a longer term VR, not a VR, but a tag that other people could talk about. What catapulted them into a different sense of tarot? Because I have a big one. Anyways, anyways, I purchased a lot of her decks, but I didn't use them because they were too big for me. They were just too big. I couldn't handle them. They it's very stiff cardstock. They were beautiful, but yeah, I couldn't relate to them, and so I never used them. And then this one came out on Kickstarter, and I saw that she was actually had reduced the size to a regular tarot, and I thought, okay, I'll give it a chance. And I really like their artwork. Now I have the deck in my hand. I love it. First of all, I love the artwork. It's not cartoony in any way, or at least not like a lot of her. Not, I don't mean her. I don't mean to say that her decks have been cartoony, but they've been. I don't know. I didn't care for the artwork either. This one I adore. I adore. Eight of Pentacles, Watchmaker, Ten of Pentacles. Look at that. And the color, and I love the borders. I've become quite fond of borders. I think they contain the artwork a little bit. They allow you to focus on the image, or at least for me. I not that I've been diagnosed with ADHD, but I know I have that brain, and so it's very nice to have something contain the artwork. Look at that. Oh, this deck is just it's killing me every single time, and it gives me the best readings ever. These are the backs. I don't know if I showed those. Maybe. They're shiny and wonderful. It's kind of like these I don't know what you call them, but in the background it's a little bit kind of like a nebula, however you pronounce it, Wheel of Fortune. And the colors are just what's interesting about this deck. It's not super bright. It's not psychedelic. It's not that. But it's very rich. It's what's the word? You all know the word. Saturated. But clean and crisp lines. I love it. There's just not a card in here that I don't like. Anyway, so if you and I ordered a backup of this one because I thought I don't want to live without this deck ever. I absolutely love it. Ethany, thank you for producing such a beautiful deck, and also for bringing the size down to a regular tarot size because it just makes such a difference. And then, last but not least, again in one of my new bags of the person I can't remember, but as most of you know, or think, have made my own tarot deck quite a while ago called the Green Bee Tarot. I switched it up a little bit because I didn't really care for the color scheme at that point. And I've done a few changes here and there. But this last batch I ordered First of all, these are the backs. So I'm still calling it kind of the green bee tarot, but I think I got to rename it because there's no green bees anywhere on this deck. But those are my little birds, and the reason these came out is the only stamp I had. But I ordered it in the shiny cardstock from Make Plain Cards, so it's a little bit shiny linen with the backs, and I ordered it with a copper gilding. Oh, every time I look at it, I say to myself, "I made this. I can't believe I made this." Except I did find interesting enough, I'll call it an error, but it's an interesting thing that I hadn't noticed in the whole time on all the court cards because I was kind of limited to the space that I could write. For instance, I couldn't use pentacles because it was too long of a word, so I went with coins, even though I always call them pentacles. And on these, all the court cards, I say, all of them, I say queen, cups, king, wands, page, swords, page, what's the other one? Wands, whatever. Anyways, on this one, I said the page of swords. I put the of in. I don't know why. I just wasn't paying attention. On the other hand, it's also truly one of my favorite cards. This image is just to me the epitome of the page of swords. Speaking out of turn, oh my God, what did I say? Young, yeah. So it made this card super special to me because what I wandered off my norm with that one, and it must have been for me to pay attention. Anyways, I love my own deck, and for anybody who ever is questioning whether they can make their own deck, yes, you can. Yes, you can. I have no graphic experience, artistic experience, nothing. This was a matter of collaging a bunch of pictures out of magazines that I had that I felt reflected the cards in the way that I saw them a year ago. And this has been around for a while. So some have changed, but as you know, that that's what happens. Um, but but I had so much fun putting it together. As my friend Tamara says at Tammy Pie, she says, when you see a deck that somebody has made, it gives you such an insight into their little mind, not little, I don't mean in that way, but it gives you insight into the mind of this person, this person that you don't know all that well, but suddenly you see how they perceive a system that you perceive and how that might differ or be similar or how they render these pictures. And for me, a lot of it was just finding pictures that I felt represented the way I thought about the cards, I felt about the cards. Um, but I see now that some of them are not that not that their meaning has changed, but my head has rearranged my thinking about what the traditional meaning of the card might be. But in many cases, it doesn't matter. This I know that it's kind of like when Lisa Pepez talks about her Unicorn's Journey. She knows this deck backwards and forwards because it is a reflection of her and her story. And that's what this is to me. And so every time I pick it up and put it in my hands, I really do say to myself, I can't believe I made this. I made this. I made this. This is my deck. And it reflects how I think, how it truly does reflect in many ways how I think about those cards. And perhaps one of the most controversial cards. Oh, this is one of my favorites too. The Five of Swords, the pie in the face. It's kind of like, you know, I'm going to cause some shit, but it's not going to hurt. Too bad. Let me get this. I just love that. Um, but one of the cards that I occasionally get an eyebrow lift about, which is okay. I don't mind. I should have dug this out sooner. Also, this is a new edition. I changed my 801s. I had not my original one. I didn't care for so much. So this I was like, oh my god, that's the 801s. Um, but let me see if I can find it here. Sorry, Oh, yeah. Oh, here it is the Ten of Swords. They always say the dreaded Ten of Swords. But mine is a pair of champagne glasses clinking, signifying it's over. It's done. Clink your glasses and move on. I love this card. I love this card, and every time I get it, just I get it a lot from other decks. It's like, ugh. And then I get this one. I'm like, thank you. It reminds me that the Ten of Swords doesn't have to be horrible. The Ten of Swords is actually really cool. So, and did change this card. This card used to be bright orange, and it was a color I hated, but I loved the image. And I finally went in and tweaked the image and redid it, so that I like a lot as well. Anyways, so this is my deck with its special gilding in its special bag, and I couldn't be happier. So my sea change was this, and maybe I'll go into it at length in another. Have been talking way too long, 40 minutes. Sorry. I'll give a brief teaser, and then we'll talk about it in another video. For me, my biggest sea change has nothing to do with interpreting the cards. It has to do with how I shuffle them. Because so many of the decks in my collection are decks I can't shuffle. And they literally ended up by the wayside because I didn't feel I could deal with them. And then it may have been the Cosmic Wisdom. It may have been the Y-Spell deck. These two decks I absolutely adored so much. I was like, fine, fine. I'll side shuffle. Fine, I'll do that. And suddenly I can't shuffle any other way. And suddenly all these other decks have kind of popped up saying, excuse me, you kind of ignored me for a year because you didn't think you could shuffle me. Can I get in line because you can shuffle me now? And so I'm discovering this whole plethora in my of new decks um, that are they're old new decks to me. Ones that I've had for a while that just I never played with all that much because I was going to wreck them if I shuffled them, or not that they were overly precious, but God, chipping decks is just the thing that drives me crazy. Decks that chip easily, and I can't tell you the number of decks I've chipped in the first or second shuffle because I don't have the long my hands are not big enough to have a really good shovel, and so at some point either I end up chipping them on the side because my fingernail gets stuck on them, or I just don't have a good blended shuffle and end up chipping a card. Good news is I've gotten very good at fixing those with toothpicks and super glue and a roller paint. I don't even know what it is. There's a name for it, but anyways, it's like a paint roller and it's little and it's thick and rubber and you squish it down once you put in the thing. So I know how to relaminate cards. I've gotten very good at it, and I have all sorts of color things that I can fix the edges if they've got destroyed as well. But you know what? I'm tired of doing that, and side shuffling isn't really doesn't create that issue. So that was literally a sea change for me in terms of opening up my ability to work decks, and that's been such an interesting thing for me. Anyways, I've gone on too long. Thank you so much for stopping by. Again, I'm welcome home. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that you are here. And thank you so much, as usual, for stopping by. Talk to you later. Star and Flurry out.